It's time to see just how our generation gave thanks. Here are some must-see TV classics where our favorite characters were thankful in the only way they knew how. You've entered the Gen Xperience. I'm Victor, and like many of you, I couldn't wait for those Thanksgiving-themed episodes and specials to land during the holiday, shoehorned between the seasons of chills and cheer. So during, after, or instead of the big game, serve yourself a heaping helping from this must-see Thanksgiving watch list. And remember, there's always room for seconds. How many times have you had an Orphan Thanksgiving? But how many of those times ended like this? At least it would have been memorable. This 1986 episode of Cheers hits a series high with a climax most of us can only wish for when it comes to the Thanksgiving feast. Who hasn't imagined the most awesome food fight before dinner comes to an end? However, even when tensions flare and you are this close to tossing the first mashed potatoes, cooler heads prevail. Or do they? Has this ever happened to you? This classic episode includes all the regulars at the time in a welcomed and rare scene outside the environment of the bar. Fun as it sounds, perhaps Norm's never-seen wife will be left cleaning up this mess.
Everybody, this is Vera.
Charming friends, Norm. Get your coat.
You'll want to discover this gem and make it an annual visit. Even from 1988, it is full of surprise guests, wholesome fun, raucous bits, and even edgy sketches. It had to have been a smash, even without the unique brand of physical comedy delivered by Gallagher.
Oh no, not Uncle Gallagher!
Yeah! Happy Thanksgiving, turkey!
Tom and Dick Smothers added some early Gen X fans to their established boomer audience on their regular Smothers Brothers comedy hour through the late 80s. This Thanksgiving special is one of the best episodes and does a great job with impersonations, political parodies, and roasting hot social topics of the day, all while keeping it civil and showcasing incredible talent, as well as having some occasional head-scratching bits that, looking back on today, make you shake your head and say, "What the?" Speaking of what the, you knew this would be on the list, but you may not know that the Star Wars Holiday Special was not intended as Christmas time fare, but for the Thanksgiving set. The storyline, complete with all the side quests, distractions, and story gaps, takes place around the Wookiee celebration of Life Day.
This is the promise of the Tree of Life.
Life Day is another way to celebrate being thankful, so it is in line with the spirit of our own family get-together. With the Empire threatening to spoil the festivities, the gang of rebels must outwit the enemy and assure Chewbacca makes it back to his family, and what looks to be an initiation into the dark arts. Or perhaps those red robes are a hazing ritual for Wookiees. Either way, we are treated to a cosmetically over-the-top Luke and a solo song from Princess Leia. Oh, this script should have been burned. You can find this masterpiece on YouTube, but if you'd like to skip the long-in-the-tooth cantina scene that even B. Arthur can't fix,
Good night, but not goodbye.
or the virtual adult content being displayed for Chewie's dad Lumpy starring Diane Carroll, well then just watch the first introduction of Boba Fett. Before The Empire Strikes Back, Fett was introduced in the original cartoon from this special called The Faithful Wookiee, and that now appears on Disney+, where you can also take in a modern Life Day with the Star Wars Lego Holiday Special. But we're not talking about today's brand of holiday offerings, if there are any. Are there? Well, don't fret, because we're talking about what was being watched during the Gen Xperience and what you should make certain is on your playlist today. When it comes to must-see holiday specials, make sure Bugs Bunny is never overlooked. The Q*bert and Care Bear Thanksgiving specials may have lost their luster as time-honored rewatches over the years, but the Bugs Bunny Thanksgiving Diet from 1978 will still have you laughing inside where it counts, or full-on chortling over the bygone era of animated antics. Specials and TV episodes aren't the only things to make time for over the long Thanksgiving weekend. Steve Martin has never gone out of style, and as his star still shines, you might want to think of revisiting Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, one of the few films centered around Thanksgiving that will have you hearkening back to troubling times you may have had getting home to the warmth of family over the holiday. Making this comedy stick is another warm soul, John Candy. John knows just how warm when trying to keep the cold at bay between Steve's two pillows. This unexpected buddy comedy ties up the spirit of Thanksgiving in the end and manages to make us all appreciate what we have. Wind down after the big day with this classic film from 1987 and relive yesteryear with the ghosts of Thanksgiving past. Now, if you want to go back to the past, you can't go any further back than the Thanksgiving TV special with BC. It quite literally means before Christ, even if the television event came out smack dab in the middle of the Gen Xperience, when Gen Xers grew into their own and weren't yet... Wait, what? You don't remember BC? With newspaper comic strips all but extinct, you might need to brush up on your cartoon print characters from the funny pages. A strip of stereotypical cavemen straight out of the dawn of mankind face the problems of the contemporary world, often parodying or playing off the issues of current times with anachronistic responses and action juxtaposed with visual humor from their Cro-Magnon past. This comic was so beloved and popular that they had their own fast food glasses offered from Arby's in 1981. But when it came to Thanksgiving, BC gave a remarkably underrated holiday special in 1973 you've got to check out. Definitely feels like a different era, but it is a great time capsule from an intellectual property that might seem unremarkable from the onset. But running from 1968 to 2001, this surprising comic favorite of mine easily outlasted countless others, including more recent caveman-themed comedies of the 21st century. BC wasn't the only comic strip character to make it big. The lasagna-loving, Monday-hating cat Garfield was almost as successful as the Peanuts gang when it came to the holiday special. Delivering holiday cartoon specials of the top 3 holidays in prime time, the Thanksgiving special is certainly unique, and some of today's sensibilities might call it out for who knows what. But not good old Gen X, who knew it was all in fun. Trying to woo an object of his affection, John convinces his vet to have a first date on Thanksgiving. Garfield, sensing the absolute chaos that will ensue due to John's obliviousness, enlists John's grandmother to help. Garfield could be sardonic and occasionally mean-spirited, but on the inside, he had a heart of gold. Short and to the point, this 80s cartoon special from 1989, based on the popular comic character, stands the test of time and is an easy watch every year. Trust me. Home for the Holidays. The song sums it up, and the title of the movie is not lost on anyone who has not only made the trek back to the family home or hometown of their youth, but to a family who can't help but be dysfunctional. But what family isn't flawed? The pressure of time passing and family dynamic changes can make life difficult. You choose to accept or turn your back. Gen X took it in stride, expected it, accepted it, and more often than not, simply grinned and bared it. Claudia tried desperately to do that in the film, with varying results. Take a melancholy but honestly humorous journey back home for Thanksgiving, with Holly Hunter, Robert Downey Jr., and Anne Bancroft in a traditional family holiday celebration, filled with the usual guilt, acceptance, apology, failure, and understanding that comes with it, and sums up most family life. Proving that although you can never truly go home again, when you do visit, it won't be long until you leave. This 1995 film exists at the end of the youngest Gen Xers' teenage years, but resonates with most from that generation as exactly the holiday they remember. Both a blessing and a curse, a holiday they wouldn't trade for anything. Holiday TV seems to be a thing of the past. Thanksgiving-themed episodes once brought families together, usually over one TV, and our favorite sitcoms getting the holiday treatment were looked forward to with anticipation. The trusty TV guide could help us find special shows like the 1975 Bob Newhart, Over the River and Through the Woods. I'll let that one be a surprise, you'll just have to look it up. But one of the most unconventional sitcom episodes came just 3 years later, and is totally worth it. Who here thought turkeys could fly? Well, Mr. Carlson of WKRP did. In one of the most famous episodes of TV, the manager of the station and Herb, the advertising manager, drop live turkeys on unsuspecting shoppers at a mall as a WKRP station holiday publicity stunt.
Oh my God, they're turkeys!
All while the horrified newsman Les Nessman reports in graphic detail the aftermath of these poor birds sailing towards the pavement below.
Running around, pushing each other. Oh my goodness! Oh, the humanity! Oh, people are running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement.
This 1978 episode leads you to a conclusion that could never have been foreseen for the first-time viewer. Today, we wait excitedly as the action leads to the final moment, as we laugh hysterically until the disheveled and spent cast members return with the best last line to a holiday episode that honored the very heart of our Thanksgiving tradition.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
And when it comes to traditions, the trifecta of Peanuts holiday specials was at its peak with the premiere of A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving in 1973. It may not have the same feels as A Charlie Brown Christmas, or even more so, It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, but the defining moments are there, with the unconventional dinner, the self-invited guests, Linus and Marcy pointing out the spirit of the holiday, and ending with Snoopy and Woodstock feasting on their own turkey. Yes, Woodstock was also feasting on that cooked fowl. Let that sink in. Of course, anyone watching this annual favorite holiday outing will no doubt notice Franklin. From this hand-slapping entrance greeting to Chuck, to sitting alone on one side of the table, they're a subtle feast for the eyes and the funny bone. How many of you have recreated the jelly bean, pretzel, toast, and popcorn Thanksgiving feast yourself? Let me know all about it in the comments and how it went. I feel a new tradition coming on. Originating way back during the Greatest Generation, Macy's debuted an annual tradition that transcends generational divide and is a holiday staple today. Kicking off with Broadway's best and featuring not only an ever-changing roster of balloons, but creative floats and opportunities for marching bands all across the globe to be seen and heard, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is a must-see from start to finish. Even if it plays while you prepare the feast, you have to stop to watch and marvel at the Rockettes and the finale arrival of Santa in all his glorious splendor. Oh, and speaking of those Rockettes, you really need to check out the Radio City Music Hall Christmas Spectacular featuring those gorgeous dancers who have been entertaining for decades. So that's another must-watch. Don't forget. This parade, this moment, this ritual is important in the passing of the holiday and can be enjoyed over and over again. Although I have significant memories of great floats in the 1980s like Masters of the Universe, Marvel, and more, it doesn't matter what year it is. It will outlast all of us and is worth the watch. After seeing this year's festival, take a look back in time at parades of the past, including the commercials, and relish in a bygone era. Like 1947, when the parade was immortalized and became as iconic as turkey and cranberry sauce. The real Santa takes over for a drunken look-alike at 0 hour and steps off into a heartwarming comedy whose message still resonates today. Believe. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, don't let the cynicism or outrage of today destroy your hope or faith. Believe is as important today as it was well over 70 years ago. This absolutely wasn't a definitive list. It was my list, but it sure can get you started on some classic memories of Thanksgiving past and can be used as a method of digestion after the big meal. Whether you are waiting for the dog show to start afterwards or switching to either the Lions or the Cowboys game, I hope these options will help fill your day or your whole holiday weekend with the joy that Thanksgiving can bring. Did I forget any great ones that you loved? I certainly hope it reminded you to check out some of the favorites from years past. Please know how thankful I am to any help you give to support my channel by pressing like and subscribe and even commenting. No Gen Xer holiday wishlist should be without some of these memorable moments during this often overshadowed but exciting holiday. So, sit back, relax, and loosen your belt while turning on any one of these or any others of your favorites to relive and reminisce of Thanksgiving in the Gen Xperience. Until next time.
Okay, nobody digs in till we give thanks.
Thanks?
We must acknowledge the great provider.
That ain't you, is it?
No, stupid. Okay, everybody bow their heads.